tournament results, new coaches, big money, and the US Open draw. Welcome back to the Courtside Queen. Let's get into all this juicy information right now. So in our last video, we talked all about the Cincinnati Open, and I told you that it's my favorite tournament of the year. It's the one that I normally go to. Didn't get to go this year, but I definitely watched every moment of it on TV. And some of the things we got a chance to see were super hot conditions, which, by the way, if you didn't know this, it's like that every single year in Cincinnati, to the point where the first time I went, I couldn't believe that it actually got that hot and stayed that hot day in and day out in Ohio, but it does. We saw two new champions, both on the men's and the women's side, that had never won the Cincinnati Open before. And overall, we just got a chance to see people as they got comfortable on these courts to get ready for New York. On the women's side, it was Paolini versus Swiatek. It was a great match, lots of back and forth, up and down, but Swiatek took it and was the champion. She had never won Cincy before, and she did now. What that did is that allowed her to overtake Coco Gauff for that number 2 spot. So once we get into these draws, you'll see that Swiatek is now number 2 and Coco is number 3. That changes up the draw a little bit once we get to New York. On the men's side, it was set to be another epic battle between number 2 and number 1 in the world, Alcaraz versus Sinner. But unfortunately, Sinner was under the weather, unfortunately, and he was not able to compete at any type of high level and wasn't able to complete the match. And so Alcaraz won based on his retirement from that match. Of course, no one wants to win that way, but it's another title that Alcaraz has collected. And now both of these guys are ready for the New York hard courts. Hopefully, Sinner gives his body the proper time that it needs to be ready for a Sunday start. But we're looking forward to seeing both of these guys compete in New York. So excited about that. Moving on to New York, they did this mixed doubles championship that they have now before the actual US Open gets started. And I'll tell you what, it was actually very exciting to watch those matches. They were fast paced, they were first to 4. And what we got to see mostly was the singles superstars competing in the mixed doubles matches. A little bit unfortunate for the actual mixed doubles teams, but very exciting for fans of the sport because, I mean, who doesn't want to see their favorite players on the men's and the women's side competing in an event such as this? It was so fast paced that the players didn't even really get a chance to get into it good before some of the pairs lost that we didn't expect to lose. But when it all came out in the wash, it was an actual doubles team, Irani and Vavasori, who won the title. Kudos to them because they are the ones that actually play mixed doubles as a pair, where all of the other people kind of did it for fun. So I think that the right team won the trophy. Did you see that Coco Gauff brought in a new coach? So she let go of one of her coaches that was on her team, and she brought in someone new that's going to be able to help her with her serve. If you've been watching tennis, you know that Coco has been struggling greatly with her serve. She's been double faulting like nobody's business. She has actually won matches even through all the double faults. But in all honesty, it has been the double faults that have taken her out of the tournaments in the last couple of tournaments that she's been in, including Cincinnati, where she lost to Paolini. There's no way that she should have lost that match, but it was those double faults that just got her so flustered and she could not pick it back up to bring herself back into a winning position. And so she brought this new coach in. He's the one who helped Sabalenka when she was having her serving issues several years ago. I believe that he's going to be a good addition to Coco's team to help her get past this. One thing I know is for as young as she is, there's going to be a time in the next couple of years where everyone's going to look back at this and be like, we remember when she had such a hard time serving, and now look at her. This is not something that's going to last her whole career. She's going to get it under control. I personally believe, although it is some of her mechanics, that it's mostly mental right now because it's happened so many times, is really messing with her mind. So I think bringing in a new voice, a new coach, someone who's going to tell her some of the things that she can do to fix this problem is going to be extremely helpful to her. And I also think that we may see major improvements as she moves through this tournament. I'm not sure if she's going to win the US Open, but I do think that we will see marked improvements as she moves through her matches this year at the US Open. Okay, can we talk about this prize money that the US Open is giving? It was a couple of videos, and I said, oh, I think the winner of the US Open gets like $2.3 million. I was so off. In 2024, the winner got something like 3.7 or 3.9 million. And this year, they are breaking the record again. The champion on the men's side and the champion on the women's side are going to receive $5 million for winning the US Open. Now, the US Open has always been the innovator. They're the innovator with this mixed doubles madness that we saw, and they are definitely the innovator with a $5 million jackpot at the end. Who in the world do you think is going to win this tournament? I know that everybody wants to win. You want to get that trophy. You want to get that title. You want to have your name go down in history as one of the winners. But $5 million is actually going to make some people hungry for this title. I'm excited to see who does it. Even the loser or the runner up in the championship is still going to make over $2.5 million. So just to get to the final, you're winning in a way that is going to make a huge difference. I'm excited to see these players and what they're going to do and how they're going to come out of these matches. And we definitely are going to have some doozies. We know there's going to be some upsets, and we're going to talk about that. But I mean, 5 mil, come on. Does that make you want to put your kids in tennis so that they can have a chance at making this kind of money? I think that it is actually about time that we start paying tennis players like this, because when you really think about it in terms of other sports, basketball, football, baseball, these players are getting paid so much money, and they don't even have to go through everything that a tennis player has to go through. You guys know how I feel about tennis. You know how I feel about the individual and having to be out there by themselves, and the way that they have to put their bodies and their minds through certain things to get to the final end of it all. They deserve it. So I'm excited to see who's going to earn this $5 million. And even for the other people that lose in the earlier rounds, they're really going to make some great money this year at the US Open. So I'm excited for each and every one of them to see how they do. Now let's dig into these draws. You guys are getting ready to see one of my secrets. I'm going to have to put my glasses on in order to see the names on this draw sheet, but I want to go through it with you because we're going to have some good matches. We're going to have some people meeting as early as the third round that we really need to discuss. And we're going to need to figure out who's going to make it through to the quarterfinals in each one of these sections, and then talk about who we think is going to win the whole thing on the men's and the women's side of the 2025 US Open. I'm excited for this, guys. Final major of the year. Let's talk about it. Okay, so in Sabalenka's quarter, she is the number one player right now. And we have to kind of decide if we think she's going to be able to pull this one out. But she has players like Kudermetova, Leylah Fernandez. She has Towson. She has Rybakina. And let me see. She has Raducanu and Jasmine Paolini are all in her quarter of this draw. So she's playing Masarova in the first round. Potentially in the third round, she's going to meet up with Leylah Fernandez. We don't know who Leylah's first round opponent is going to be yet, but there's a possibility that she's going to meet Leylah in the third round. And if all things go according to ranking, it looks like she could meet Paolini in the quarters. But there's a lot of tennis that has to be played between now in the quarterfinals, which doesn't even come until September 2nd. Another match that I'm looking at here is Ayala versus Towson. Now, Clara Towson has been playing very, very well, but Ayala has something magical, especially on the hard court. And I have a feeling that no one's going to be expecting her to win, but there could be some fireworks in that match. Unfortunately, since the qualifying rounds got rained out on Wednesday, there are a lot of places that are not filled yet. So we don't know who Paolini is going to be playing. We don't know who Fernandez is going to be playing because we're waiting for these people to come through their matches on Thursday before we can find out who the matchups are going to actually be. However, those top players are pretty much expected to come through their matches. So we can expect them to get through at least a couple of rounds, a few rounds before they start meeting each other. And then we'll have to look at, oh no, who's going to win this match? For example, Rybakina and Raducanu could end up meeting in the third round. Also, Vondrousova and Paolini could meet in the third round. So these are matches where anyone can come through before we even get to the fourth round or the quarterfinals. We're only looking at it in terms of first round and then who's in whose quarter. So we can see who might make it through and then meet each other for some blockbuster matches. Okay, so now let's look at the number 4 player, Jess Pegula. Jess Pegula has been struggling this summer. She lost early at Wimbledon. She's been losing early at like every tournament. She made it a couple rounds in Cincinnati, but then lost a match to, I think, Magna Linette. She should not have lost. The match was over 2 days. And she just shouldn't have lost. She's losing matches that she should be winning. I'm very concerned about her. I've said this before, and I'm curious if she's even going to really be able to end the year at number 4 in the world, because remember, last year in Cincinnati, she made it to the final. This year, she lost in like the third round. And then she made it to the final of the US Open last year. So she's going to lose some big points in both of these tournaments, especially the US Open, if she does not have a deep run. So let's see what her quarter of the draw is looking like. Okay, in her first round, she plays Sharif. Sharif is the Egyptian player. I expect that Pegula is going to win this match with no problem. But when I look at what could potentially happen as she moves to the third round, looks like she'll probably win her first 2 rounds. But in her third round, I'm seeing a Pavlyuchenkova potential match. There's probably Pavlyuchenkova and Yastremska play in the first round. Whoever wins that match is who's going to make it to that third round against Jess Pegula, I believe. Azarenka is in there too, but I'm not really seeing her able to make any noise in that particular section. Then we have Belinda Bencic down here at the bottom of this section. And potentially it looks like Pegula and Bencic could be meeting in the fourth round this year. Okay, let's see who else is in this quarter. We have Emma Navarro. She should win her first round against Yafan. But Jill Teichmann and Katie McNally are going to play in the first round. Whoever wins that match is going to have to meet Emma Navarro in the following match. These are going to be some really tough matchups right here. And then if we look down a little bit further, I see Krejcikova having to play Mboko. Oh my goodness. Honestly, I hadn't even seen that until just now. I took a quick look. Krejcikova, Mboko. Guys, did you see Mboko and how she played in Canada? This match is going to be a blockbuster match. Krejcikova pretty much crashed out in her last match in Cincinnati. Now, she had been playing a lot, doubles and singles. It was hot, all of those things. But we did see her kind of go downhill and crash out. Her playing Mboko, I truly hope, I believe that Mboko is going to have the crowd support. The North American crowd support is going to be for her. This could potentially even be a night match. I'm not sure, but this is going to be a good match. You can see how excited I am because I'm just now seeing this. It's going to be a good one. But here in Pegula's section, we also have Ostapenko. We have Taylor Townsend, which I can see her getting through 1 to 2 rounds. And then Andreeva is down here at the bottom of this quarter. So if all things go according to ranking and to plan, we'll have Pegula versus Andreeva in the quarterfinal, if all things go according to plan. Looking at this section, I doubt very seriously if all things are going to go according to plan in this section. This is a section to watch. So let's make sure we watch it. All right, number 3 player, Coco Gauff. Remember, she was number 2 until Cincinnati. Now Swiatek is number 2. So now Coco has this number 3 section of the draw. Let's see what's going to happen in her section and who potentially could meet in the quarterfinals. So Coco Gauff has Tomljanovic in the first round. I believe that she will win this match. The second round match is going to be versus either Vekic or Busas Monero. That I think it's going to be Busas Monero because she's been having an amazing summer. That's going to be a tough match. I believe that Coco can win it as long as her serve is treating her right. Even if it's not, she still could potentially win it. But that second round is going to be a tough match, especially if it's not Vekic. Vekic has kind of fallen off a little bit, so I'm not as concerned about her. But who else we have in this section? We have Naomi Osaka in this section. Potentially, her and Gauff could meet in the 4th round if all things go according to plan. But also Peyton Stearns is here. Haley Baptiste and Siniakova play in the first round. That's going to be a good one. Caroline Garcia is in this particular section. She's retiring this year, but she could have a good run because she has played well at the U.S. Open in the past. Also, Venus Williams is in this section. She's playing Muchova in the first round. I mean, honestly, this match could go either way because Muchova, although she's number 11 in the world, she is so up and down and she can lose a match at any time. It doesn't even have to make sense. That match, whoever wins that match is going to play the winner of Cirstea and Sierra. If Venus wins that match, Venus could actually make it to the 3rd round of this thing, and she probably would be playing Noskova in the 3rd round. So we're going to keep rooting for Venus and hoping that she makes it through because honestly, I could see her making a 3rd or 4th round run according to what and who is in her section, just depending on how this first round goes. Also, Kostyuk is in this section. This is Coco Gauff's section. Kvitova, who's going to be retiring after this particular tournament, but also Madison Keys. Madison Keys is number 6. So if things go according to plan and according to ranking and according to how we see it, we're looking at a Keys, we're looking at a Gauff, Osaka 4th round, and then a Gauff Keys quarterfinal. This is a tough section, guys. This is a tough section. So let's go on and talk about the number 2 player in the world, Iga Swiatek. Let's look at her quarter of the draw, see who all these people are, who they have to play, and who she could potentially meet in the quarters if she makes it all the way through. Okay, so Iga is going to be playing Arango in the first round. No doubt that she'll win that. I'm looking at who she would play in the second round. She's going to win that. Probably it's going to be Kalinskaya versus Swiatek in the 3rd round. Now, these two played each other in Cincinnati, and Iga won, of course. But before that, when they played, it was Kalinskaya who won. So if this is going to be a third round, it's going to be an exciting third round. And I would not be surprised if we have an upset. Just saying, it's going to be a good match either way. The other people that we have in this section is we have Alexandrova. That could potentially be a fourth round matchup for Swiatek, but also Svitolina, Maria Sakkari, Bousson, who made it in to this particular tournament. I honestly don't think that the French almost champ is going to do well here at the US Open. I just am not feeling it. I saw her lose one of her qualifying matches a couple of days ago, and I'm just not seeing it. Sophia Kenin is here. Haddad Maya is here. Danielle Collins and Anisimova. So if all things go according to plan, it could potentially be a Wimbledon finals rematch in the quarterfinal of Anisimova and Swiatek. That would actually be a great rematch, especially on US soil, if they can both make it that far. But if we have that upset, it could be Anisimova Kalinskaya in the quarterfinal. We just have to see how it goes. Guys, you know, it never goes according to plan at these tournaments. There's always some upsets. There's always something that happens that everybody is shocked about. And so we'll see where that happens here in this particular draw. And now it's time to choose a winner. It's so hard to choose a winner for these tournaments, especially on the women's side. You guys know at our last couple of tournaments, I had multiple women that I think could win the tournament. And I think that I'm going to have to do that again because the field is just so wide open and there's so many women that are so good, number one. And then there are so many women that have bad days and they just kind of like fall off. That's the second part of it. And so if I'm looking at these women, I definitely think that Swiatek is probably up there in terms of could very likely win this tournament. I think that Coco Gauff has a great chance of winning this tournament because she's not expecting or expected to win the tournament. I also want to keep a good look on Mboko in this tournament. I think that her confidence is really, really high. And I know that because she didn't play Cincinnati, she's been working and she's had some time to rest. Of course, we can never say that somebody like Sabalenka, the number one player in the world and the defending champ of the US Open from last year, could potentially win. We also have to look at Madison Keys, who plays very, very well on these hard courts and in the US at that. But I don't think that Sabalenka is going to be able to pull out a major this year. She has disappointed herself in all three of the other majors this year, sometimes in the finals, sometimes in the semis. And she has gotten beaten by, the people that have gone on to win the whole thing or the people that have gone on to make the final. And if you notice, she's gotten beaten by all American players this year at the majors. First, Madison Keys in Australia, then Coco Gauff at the French Open. Then she lost in the semis to Amanda Anisimova, who went on to lose in the final of Wimbledon. I think that maybe we'll see her lose to another American this year. So, Rochelle, you're saying a lot and you still haven't given us a winner. I know, because it's virtually impossible to give you a winner. But I will say, I do not think that there's going to be a first-time major winner that wins the US Open this year. I think that we're looking at winners between Iga Swiatek, Coco Gauff, and Madison Keys. I believe that it's going to be one of those three. I don't want to discount Naomi Osaka. I just don't know that she is ready yet because she's too up and down when it comes to her attitude on the court. Here's my three. I'm going to give you guys three. I think at the French Open, I might have given you, or at Wimbledon or something, I gave you like six. I'm going to narrow it down to three. Iga, Coco, or Maddie, Madison Keys. Those are my three. Now, if they lose early, you guys know I'll come back and I'll give you another pick. But then if that person loses, then I say we'll just have to see what happens. All right, let's go on to the men's draw. The men's draw is always so much easier than the women's draw because there are clear people at the top and you can choose a winner with so much certainty. But I will say, before we go over the draw, that I do believe that an American is going to make it to the final of the US Open. So that means that one or two is going to have to get upset earlier than the final. Let's see who it's going to be. Number one in the world, Yannick Sinner. In his quarter, potentially in round two, he'll be playing Popyrin. That could be a tough match. He also has Shapovalov in his section, in his quarter. Bublik Cilic is a first round match. That's going to be a tough one. Bublik is the higher ranked player, but in all honesty, we have seen Cilic go deep in these majors, especially on hard courts. I do believe that this could be upset alert, that Marin Cilic could win this first round match. Sonego is also in this section. Tommy Paul is in this section. It could potentially be a Cilic Paul third round or a Bublik Paul third round. This is interesting. Musetti plays Pechi Pericard in the first round. We all know Pechi Pericard serves like crazy. He doesn't really win a lot of matches with that serve, but he has the potential to go off. So we'll be keeping an eye on that as an upset alert as well. Jensen Brooksby is in Yannick Sinner's quarter as well. Caboli, Diallo, the fast-hitting Canadian, as well as Jack Draper. This section is not easy, y'all. Come on now. And we're talking about Yannick Sinner, the number one player of the world. So if all things go according to plan or ranking, we're looking at a Draper Sinner quarter of the US Open. Now, Draper has been out for a few tournaments, so that could be difficult for him to get through all the way to the quarters. But we definitely know that it's possible. But this is not an easy section. Okay, number three player in the world is Sasha Zverev. Sasha has been working on some things. I'm seeing some improvements in his game. He actually struggled at the Cincinnati Open with his breathing and some other issues that he was having. I'm sure it was heat related. He struggled in his match against Ben Shelton. He ultimately won that match, but then in the following match, he had to play, I believe it was Alcaraz, and he struggled really, really bad there. It was a great match outside of that. It could have gone anybody's way, except for the fact that he was having those breathing issues. So hopefully he's had some treatment and he's had time to recover so that he can have an amazing tournament. I want to see him go far. I want to go see him go deep. You guys know that I'm a huge fan and I want to see him win a major. I do not think this is going to be the major that he wins. He still has some more work to do, but let's take a look at his quarter of the draw and see who he might meet and how far he might actually make it. So it looks like Zverev, he's going to play Tabilo in the first round, and he'll probably play Bautista Agut in the second round. It looks like it could potentially be a Monfils Zverev third round. Monfils, though, he has to play Safiullin. That's going to be a tough match. We also have Felix Auger-Aliassime in this section. That could be a Monfils Felix second round match. So we're talking about some hard matches here in this particular section before any of these people would even have to meet Zverev. They have to be able to get through these other people. Rublev is in this section, as is Khachanov. Khachanov and Zverev had an epic match in Canada just a few weeks ago. They could potentially be meeting in the fourth round. No, I'm sorry. in the quarterfinals. That could be a quarterfinal match. We also in this section have Sarundalo, Tsitsipas, who I don't believe is going to go that far in this tournament. He's been having too many issues, but De Minaur is here. So if all things go according to plan in ranking, we're looking at a Zverev De Minaur or a Zverev Khachanov quarterfinal. This is not an easy section of the draw. I am a little bit nervous for Sasha, but I do believe by looking at this that he'll at least make it to the quarters, and then we'll have to see who he's going to match up against to see if he'll be able to make that semifinal run and potentially that finals run this year. He's in the same half as Sinner. So if he makes it to the semis and everything goes according to plan, it will be a Sinner Zverev semi. Okay, number 4 player in the world is American Taylor Fritz. We're getting ready to look at his quarter of the draw and see if he's going to be able to, number 1, make it to the quarters. Number 2, if he's going to be able to be that American to make it to the final. If you remember, he made it to the final last year at the US Open and he lost to Jannik Sinner, who's the defending champ. So let's see, because they could potentially meet up in the final again. They're on 2 different halves of the draw. So let's see if he's going to be the American to make it through. Okay, so Taylor Fritz plays another American in the first round. It's Nava. Nava's good, but Taylor is definitely expected to come through this section. In this section, there looks like to be a lot of Americans. We have Ethan Quinn. We have Nakashima. They're both here in this particular section. So it looks like it could be a Taylor Fritz, Nakashima third round to see who will make it out to the 4th round. He also has Menchik here in this section. Runa is also in Taylor's section of the draw. They could potentially meet in the quarters, but Runa has to play Van de Zandschulp in the first round. That is going to be a tough match. Other Americans in this section, we have Mackie McDonald. We have the qualifier Blanche. The young kid, he's actually really good. We don't know who he's playing yet. Francis Tiafoe is in this section. They basically just said, we're going to put all the Americans right here in Taylor's section. Alex Mickelson is here in this section, as is Sebi Korda, who has to play Cam Norrie in his first round. That is a tough first round. And then also Lerner Tien is here at the top of this section. He has to play Novak Djokovic in his first round. So we're talking about Taylor Fritz, potentially Novak Djokovic in the quarter. This is a very, very, very hard quarter. Guys, did you hear all the names that I named? Novak Djokovic, Cam Norrie, Sebi Korda, Alex Mickelson, Francis Tiafoe, who has to play Nishioka, Van de Zandschulp, Holger Rune. Come on, this is crazy. So Taylor Fritz has his work cut out for him in his section of the draw. It is very tough. It runs very deep. So let's move on to talk about our number 2 player in the world and see what his section is looking like and see if he's going to be someone that could actually make it to the final. These men's matches are going to be tough. So our number 2 player, of course, is Carlos Alcaraz. In his first round, he has to play American Riley Opelka. What? I'm sure that I was like, at first I was like, oh, Riley, oh gosh, I feel sorry for him. But I know that Alcaraz does not want to play Riley in the first round. You have to come out ready if you're going to play Riley. Riley played Cincinnati. He won a few rounds. He played in the mixed doubles with Venus. So he's been practicing. He's been on the grounds for several days. He's going to have the American crowd behind him. Not that they won't also be cheering for Alcaraz because everybody loves Alcaraz, but this is not an easy match. If he can get through it, let's see who else is in this section. So we have some other Americans here. We have some Americans clashing and meeting up, but no real big names in this section. I'll tell you, this section is a lot easier than Fritz's section, especially if he gets through the first round. We have Davidovich Fokina in this section of the draw. This could be a fourth round match. Alcaraz, Davidovich, Fokina could be your fourth round. Medvedev is in this section. Casper Ruud is in this section. We have a first round Coric Lehechka match. Lehechka should definitely come through that match. Manarino is in this section. Manarino took it to center in Cincinnati, although he lost. It was a very close, I think they went into a third set tiebreak. It was a very close match. So he's ready on these hard courts. And at the top here, we have Ben Shelton in this section. So if all things go according to plan, we're going to have a Ben Shelton, Carlos Alcaraz quarterfinal. Now, what we have been seeing from our Ben Shelton in these past few weeks is nothing short of amazing. He won his first 1,000 in Canada. He had a great run in Cincinnati before he finally just burned out from exhaustion against Zverev in the quarterfinals in Cincinnati. But the way that he's been playing, he played the mixed doubles. He's there practicing. He's getting in the feel of New York. He's going to absolutely have the crowd behind him because everybody loves Ben. And when you're in America, you're not going to be able to out noise the crowd for Ben, even if you're Carlos Alcaraz. I'm telling you right now, if they make it to the quarters and they play each other, I really, really give Ben a good, solid chance to get through that match. And so if I were to choose an American to make it to the final, it's going to be Ben Shelton. Especially now that I've seen Taylor's draw, it's going to be Ben Shelton. I believe that Ben Shelton could make it to the final. That means get past Alcaraz if he has to and make it to the final against probably Jannik Sinner. And then it will most likely, I hate to say it, be Jannik Sinner who wins the tournament. I would love to see the other result, as you guys can imagine, I'm sure. So I'm choosing Jannik Sinner, but I'm choosing Ben Shelton to make it to the final against him, another American in the final. We would love to see two Americans win this tournament. I'm so excited, guys. This video has been a little longer than normal because it was important that we go over these draws, and I needed to just catch you up really quick on some of the other things that were going on. So hopefully you made it to the end. Go into the comments. Let me know who your picks are on the men's and the women's side. Who do you have? And I don't just want to know who you think is going to win. I want to know who you think is going to be in the final. Who's playing each other, and then who's going to win that match. With that being said, guys, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel. I love having you here on the Courtside Queen so that we can dig into all things tennis, all this kind of stuff and more. I'm Rochelle, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.